Hey friends, welcome to a brand new video. Today we are going to be talking all about the perfect summer reads. Now I have about 25 books on this list, which is honestly quite a few, so we're gonna go really speedy through this. But there is middle grade, thriller, graphic novels, you name it, there should be something here for you, and hopefully you'll find something new that maybe you didn't think about was summer before. I feel like a lot of people put out fall reads and fall recommendations, but honestly, summer is one of my favorite seasons, so hopefully I can convince you guys to pick one of these up. So my very top recommendation out of all of these books has to be Emily Henry's books. This is probably no surprise to any of you. I feel like this is probably on a lot of people's list because her titles are so obviously summer. We have Beach Read, Book Lovers, and People We Meet on Vacation. If you guys just want that pure serotonin boost, you need something happy in your life to fit with that nice summer weather, these are perfect to read by the pool or even with a nice iced tea on your back porch swing or whatever it is. These books will just suck you right in. What I really like about her books is not only are they cutesy romances, but there's always some type of bigger thing or subplot that the character is going through. So these are such wholesome stories. So if I had to actually rank these, Beach Favorite is my least favorite, People We Meet on Vacation is right in the middle, and then Book Lovers is my top favorite. So I don't know if that helps you in choosing which one to pick up first. Maybe you want to start in the middle, and then maybe you want to go to like her brand new release. But if you've never picked up something by her before, it is such a blast, such a pleasant surprise. Her humor is right up my alley, and I can never recommend Emily Henry enough. Not only do I recommend her newer adult romance releases, but most people don't know that she has a young adult backlist, and the first book I ever read by her is A Million Junes. I loved this book. I think I associate this with summer because I did read it during the summertime, but it's also this cute young adult kind of coming of age story that just gives me like those butterflies of being a teenager again. She does magical realism so well. There's actually a forbidden romance in here as well. These two characters' families are actually rivals, and I don't think you find out until later in the story. Seriously, you guys, pick up her backlist. They are so good. This next book I actually have not read, but it is the perfect summertime cover. It gives me absolute summertime feels, and it's called The Last Summer at the Golden Hotel. I am planning to pick this up this summer, which is why I am recommending it, but I believe there is a hotel that two families own, and they are forced with a decision to sell the hotel or learn how to save it and keep it, and there's scandal, there's a little bit of romance. I don't know much more detail than that. I kind of wanted to go into this one blind, but this honestly just looks and sounds like the perfect summertime read, especially for people who are romance readers or like a little bit of that cozy mystery. The next book I have to recommend is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually read this a while ago and don't remember much about it other than there's this beachside party, but something goes wrong at this party. This has a lot of family drama, so if you like family drama, definitely recommend this one. I have a newfound love for Taylor Jenkins Reid because she just does such an awesome job of making you feel like you're reading nonfiction or some type of historical book when you're really not, and I'm always convinced these characters actually exist. So if you're looking for something easy to read, something to fly through, but if you like an actual setting that takes place at a beach, this one is definitely it. I also cannot make this video without recommending Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I do want to say that I am well aware of some of the bad things that people think this author has done, but I do understand this book has kind of some bad hype around it as well. But when I read this a couple years ago, I gave it 5 stars. I don't know if I would feel that same way now, but I can say that because this takes place on a marsh, that it definitely has like that summer humid hot feeling that I think is so relatable to this time of year. If you're also looking for something that has a big plot twist at the end, I will say if you do love a good love triangle that you would probably like this book as well. So I definitely think this could be one for mystery thriller lovers, but also just keep in mind this is a little bit slower and heavier on the romance, and also a little bit of coming of age story alongside with it. Another book that is absolute pure serotonin that I will always recommend to every single person that I can get to read it is House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This reads like an adult middle grade book, and it is just so adorable and so cute. Our main character is going to this orphanage to kind of decide if this orphanage is good enough to stay or if it needs to be shut down. Basically assessing the management, but little does he know he's going to fall in love with the children that live in this orphanage, and I cannot, you guys, the humor is absolutely amazing. I laughed out loud so many times in this book. I don't think you can see all of the little darts that I have here in this book, but I tabbed this up like crazy. But again, just another obvious choice because of the cover. Diving now into our thriller genre, I could not make this video without including The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, because this book still blows me away to this day. I still think about the plot twist at the end. I have never been so shocked in my entire life. So if you want a book that has those summertime camp feels but also has an amazing plot to it and it's not as character driven, I would definitely recommend this one. I just love a good fast-paced thriller, and this one did not disappoint. Like, my heart was racing. I love this book. But I also wanted to recommend Home Before Dark, and I think I associate this book with summertime because I did read it in the summertime. I think his books tend to come out in June every year, but there's something about a good haunted house in the backwoods that just reminds me of summer. Like, something about creepy woods just reminds me of summer. I don't know why that is, but this book is such a great read, especially a poolside read, because if you're wanting something to just fly through in like 2 days or even one sitting, like I'm pretty sure I did, I would definitely recommend this one. This just had me on the edge of my seat. I wish I could go back and read this one for the first time because I just had goosebumps and just freaked out internally the whole time while I was reading this. The next book I actually have not read either, but I'm planning to read it for my readathon, is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I believe this has to do with a group of girls or people that get stranded on an island, or some type of accident happens and they have to survive on this island where there's possible cannibalism. So I am very intrigued to see where this one goes for sure, but it's just another obvious choice if you love thrillers. The whole cover is summertime feels, and if you like more of those survivor type books, I think this will be a really good choice. The next 3 books are young adult thrillers, and the first one I want to recommend is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. I really enjoyed this book when I read it a few years ago, and I don't know why I haven't picked up more from this author. I wish they would come out with more books, honestly, because this one was such a unique experience. If you don't like magical realism or can't get with magical realism, you may have a hard time understanding this one, but this was just so bizarre with the way this book was written. I really liked it though, because it's taking place at a lake during a summer, and we have this 5 group of friends and one of them dies. So they are trying to figure out what actually happened to their friend this whole time, and I will just read the back because it's very mysterious. It says, "I was going to be stuck here forever, here in the Neverworld, where I'd never grow old, never have a family, never fall in love. I was a ticking clock in a timeless world." Something about that little snippet just describes this book perfectly. It's very strange, it's very bizarre, so if you like weird books, this one might be one for you. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart is another book that I have not actually read, but I am planning to sometime within the next month. I know nothing about this other than there is this wealthy family that owns a private island, and they are known for lying. So I don't know if there's like a secret murder mystery, but this does take place in the summertime. So I feel like a lot of people recommend this book, especially for this season. Just another one that I thought I would share because it's also on my radar. The next book I am currently reading, called The Counselors by Jessica Goodman, is giving me such nostalgia, you guys. I grew up going to summer camp as a teenager. I even worked as a counselor. I worked at this little craft shop where I helped kids like paint crafts and do all sorts of fun things, and there's so many aspects to this story already that are extremely relatable. This takes place at Camp Alpine Lake, where our main character Goldie Easton goes every single summer to be a counselor, I believe, and I think one summer a body turns up dead, but also as we go it's hinting that Goldie has a past within this town of something happened. I don't know if someone died, but there was clearly an accident, and so she is hated by this entire town, and her only safe spot is this camp. She sees her best friends once a year. They live across the states, and so there's also a little bit of friend drama mixed in, so if that's not for you, just be aware of that. But there is also mystery and intrigue, and I am staying pretty interested in this one, so I really don't know what direction it's gonna take, but if you like one of those quick, fast-paced young adult thrillers, this could also be an option. Next, I want to get into the fantasy genre, which is obviously my favorite, but before we do, I want to mention an adult horror fantasy that I think a lot of people might enjoy if you do like horror. I have yet to read this yet though. I'm hoping it holds up to the hype because so many people that I trust with recommendations love this book. It's called Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. I just know that this has killer mermaids and a deadly ocean with many myths. 7 years ago, this ship set off on a voyage to the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax, others have called it a tragedy. Now a new crew has been assembled. Some seek to validate their life's work, some seek the greatest hunt of all, some seek the truth. But for the ambitious young scientist Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. Whatever the truth may be, it will only be found below the waves. I had to read that for you guys because I feel like I just can't do it justice, but this just gives me the creepiest feels. I do not know what to expect from this. I have just heard killer mermaids, so if you're someone that likes the dark side of summer or the ocean, Mariana's Trench scares me to death. I was a lifeguard as a teenager. I taught swim lessons, but seriously, deep water like that is freaking scary. So if you guys are into a little bit more horror, I think this one might be for you. But I also wanted to mention House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig, because this one also has kind of like those horror, scary ocean water vibes. This is basically a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling where there is this virus or deadly type of sickness that is taking out these sisters one by one, and there's a lot of, I guess you could say, paranormal elements to this. So if you're looking for something a little bit more spooky during the summertime, this one was so phenomenal. But the vibes in this book, the fact that this was a debut at the time, just blows me away. I read this all in one day, and I highly recommend you do the same. The next book that I have yet to read but is still high on my priority list is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. I have been wanting to read something by this author for such a long time, and it's so tiny, and I believe it's also a standalone. I could be wrong, but this one has to do with an adventure out to sea, and also I think has to do with a myth of like a deadly storm and like this sea god. I just think that a sea adventure with this girl fighting a sea god just sounds like such a good time. Two other books that I have yet to read that are still high on my list. I've owned these books for a while, but I don't think I've ever mentioned them on my channel. If you are someone that likes Pirates of the Caribbean, I feel like I can definitely recommend these to you because both of these, All the Stars and Teeth and Seafire, have to do with a pirate adventure. That's literally all I know about these books, but I wanted to include them because I really want to read them still. I've held on to them because I love a good Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean moment, so we're gonna keep these and we're gonna read them. But if you like pirates like I do, I feel like these would be a really good choice, and I feel like they will be lighter on the romance. So if you're just feeling like a good old sea adventure, I feel like these would be so much fun. Next, we are going to dive into the middle grade genre, and these three are at the top of my list, so I have yet to read them, but I did actually start reading The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise last year and absolutely loved it. This book is so descriptive of the heat, the humidity, they talk about popsicles, and just little details in the book which makes you fully invested in this story, especially during summertime. There's really no other season to read this. This book is about a little girl named Coyote who lives with her dad out of this bus. Her mother passed away and she is just really sad and depressed. She doesn't have friends from traveling all the time, and she's trying to convince her dad to go back to the town where she grew up because that's what she's familiar with, and her dad is having a really hard time coping and wanting to go back. So she is already meeting a couple little friends along the way. When I did start reading this, I didn't get very far, but there's this little boy that she starts interacting with and their friendship is so cute. Like, I cannot. There's just a lot that I know is going to be wrapped up into this because I was already getting emotional. I just think this is going to be a really hard-hitting book for a lot of us. The next book I want to recommend is one that is near and dear to my heart. I have yet to actually read the book, but I love Kiki's Delivery Service, you guys. This is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie of all time. I think I've seen like 5 to 8 of them at this point. While this does seem very fall because she's a witch, it actually takes place during the summer by an oceanside in a small little town. So if you're wanting just those small town kind of cottagecore vibes, just a little bit of humor sprinkled throughout, I think this is about, yeah, this is less than 200 pages. Please read this. It's so cute from what I already know from the movie, and I just cannot. Like, I'm gonna be picking this up very soon. The next book I have here is Orphan Island by Laurel Snyder. The title of this book sounds perfect, obviously, for summer, but this sounds so sad. Another one of those books kind of like Coyote Sunrise where it will be really hard-hitting. So this book takes place on an island where all these orphans live, and the oldest one is sent off when a new one comes in on a boat. So it's like this exchange, and there's some type of magical realism involved, and I'm not sure what that is, but I'm very curious to find out. This was also blurbed by Kelly Barnhill, who wrote The Girl Who Drank the Moon and Claire Legrand, and I know those two are very popular among middle grade authors, so I'm pretty sure that I'm going to enjoy this one. Next, moving on to our graphic novels. These are also all middle grade, but the first one I have is Surfside Girls, The Secret of Danger Point. This is only the first in a series. I can't remember how many is in this series because I have yet to read this one. This is a coming of age story where these little girls, of course, have like crushes on boys, and it sounds super cute. The setting is obviously at an oceanside or a beach, and there's a mystery involved. I'm really not sure what in the world the mystery has to do with, but I think there's also ghosts that these girls start seeing in the water. So this just sounds like a very epic, fun, summery time, and especially for those of you who love mystery thrillers. My most recent graphic novel read is Be Prepared by Vera Brosgol. If you're wanting something that has phenomenal humor, or if you love quirky little main characters, or obviously this is at a camp setting. She goes to this summer camp, but it's definitely not what she expects it to be. So there's a lot of adventures to be had in this book. So if you want something a little bit more adventurous and fun, definitely recommend this one. The last graphic novel recommendation I have is for all my fantasy lovers out there, called Tidesong. Our main character in this book wants nothing more than to be a witch, and in exchange for doing chores for her great aunt teaches her all the things she needs to know to be a witch. But unfortunately, her abilities get tangled in with this sea dragon. This is a really cute, heartfelt story, and I love the little girl and her character development in this. There's also just some great colors going on in this one. Lots of purples and blues that I love so much. So if you're more into fantasy elements versus these other ones that have a little bit more adventure to them, would definitely recommend this one. It was so cute. Well, my friends, I think that is it. I know I covered a lot of ground here, but I wanted to do some so in hopes that you could find something brand new, maybe that you never heard of before or associated with summertime. I love all of these books. Let me know which one piques your interest the most. I definitely have some to catch up on that I still need to read. But before you leave this video, please leave me a bright sun emoji for summertime. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video and supporting my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.